When a murder case stays unsolved for over 30 years, it's usually considered a lost cause. By that time, the chances of police finding any new leads are nearly non-existent. But there are exceptions to this rule. In this case, Jay Cook and Tanya Van Cuylenborg's killer was caught, and what makes their story unique is how the investigator discovered who murdered them. It all began on November 18, 1987, when Jay Cook and his high school sweetheart, Tanya, set off on a ferry from Canada to Washington State for a camping trip. Jay was 20 years old, while Tanya was 17. This journey was their first getaway together, intended to be a romantic adventure. According to Jay's mom, Leona, Jay and Tanya dated for 6 months, and they were always together. Tanya's father, William, also felt positive about their relationship. However, during their trip, this vacation took a terrifying turn. Jay was driving his father's van, and witnesses saw them leaving the ferry, heading south on Highway 101. Their van was later spotted in the towns of Hoodsport and Allen around 8 p.m. and an hour later, respectively. It's believed that they were en route to catch a second car ferry from Bremerton to Seattle. This was meant to be a short overnight adventure, and their families expected them to be back the next day. But the night fell, and they received no word from Jay and Tanya. Then the worry began to creep in. Tanya's father said that she would always call if she were running late. When she didn't call the next morning as they were supposed to return, my wife became concerned. But by the following day, when she hadn't called, we knew something was wrong. Something was off. It was a horrifying and shocking discovery. Chief Deputy Ron Panzero of Skagit County Sheriff's Office confirmed that Tanya had been tragically murdered. According to him, Tanya's body was partially unclothed and she had been a victim of both rape and murder. Investigators discovered plastic ties used to bundle wires strewn by the roadside. It appeared that they were used to restrain Tanya in the van. But Jay Cook was missing, and that raised concerns. His mother mentioned that for the brief moment, the police considered him a suspect, which was confusing and troubling for their family.
And I don't have my only son.
Later on, Jay's van was discovered about 90 miles away in Bellingham. Not far from the van, just 2 blocks away, the police found more of those plastic ties, the van keys, Tanya's driver's license, and a partially used box of bullets. He had been brutally beaten and strangled to death. According to Sergeant Robert Bart from the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, the way Jay died was similar to what they've seen in cases involving people who have been in prison. They also found a pair of surgical gloves, which added to the mystery. It was like someone had intentionally left these items behind, making the situation even more curious. According to him, the evidence they found on Jay raised suspicion that the person responsible had been in the prison system before. Detective Robert Gibo from the Seattle PD thought the clues were a direct challenge to the police. He mentioned, "He leaves those behind as a sign to the police that you aren't looking for fingerprints because I wore these gloves, and he has the confidence that there's nothing that's going to connect him to these crimes." Sergeant Robert Bart believed that Jay and Tanya might have encountered their killer on the 10:20 p.m. ferry from Bremerton to Seattle. He said, "We can't say what the killer had in mind when he first met Jay and Tanya. However, it seems he intended to harm and assault both of them. From the evidence, it's clear that he had a target, Tanya, and Jay got in the way. They were young and unsuspecting on their first trip, making them easy prey." Detective Gibo also suspected this wasn't the killer's first murder, saying it's likely that by the time they left the ferry in downtown Seattle, they were already in the company of the man who killed them. It appears logical that this person had committed similar crimes before and had been successful. With that kind of success, he would probably continue to do it. Then, something even more unsettling happened during the Christmas holidays. Just 4 weeks after their children were killed, both Jay and Tanya's families received creepy greeting cards. These cards contained odd descriptions of the murders, and the sender even claimed to be the killer. What's truly baffling is that these cards were sent from various places like New York, Los Angeles, and Seattle, but they all were written by the same person. To make it even more bizarre, this person sent at least 6 chilling cards over 3 different holidays. At that time, the authorities were still in the dark about who was behind these disturbing messages. It was a mystery that deepened the intrigue. What's baffling is the next twist in the investigation. Chief Deputy Ron Panzero points out that the handwriting and certain phrases in those letters are quite distinctive. There is this filthy phrase, "Hallelujah, bloody Jesus," which the sender seems to favor. This person was making life unbearable for the grieving parents. Catching this person became a matter of great importance. The police strongly believed that the murderer had a criminal past and knew the Washington area very well. Despite these challenges, investigators turned into new scientific methods. In 2018 of April, a composite sketch of the suspect was created using DNA from the crime scene.
Certificates and death certificates, of course the vital records are definitely the foundation.
This technique called snapshot DNA phenotyping and genetic genealogy were used to track down the killer. The case was also examined by Parabon using genetic genealogy, where they put the DNA on a public website called GEDmatch.com. This is the same website that helped catch the Golden State Killer Joseph James DeAngelo. Finally, on May 18, 2018, the Snohomish County Sheriff said that they caught William Earl Talbott II for killing Van Cuylenborg. In June of 2019, he was declared guilty of 2 counts of serious murder and got 2 life sentences in prison without the chance of parole.
We took into custody a 55-year-old SeaTac man who is suspected of the 1987 murders of Jay Cook and Tanya Van Cuylenborg. William Earl Talbott II has been booked into the Snohomish County Jail on 1 count of first-degree murder.
State of Washington versus William Earl Talbott II, verdict form 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, William Earl Talbott II, guilty of the crime of first-degree murder as charged.
Seattle genealogy experts use science to link their people used to their past and even possible criminals. William was accused of 2 murders 31 years later.
Some of those matches already have trees built on them, or some of them have, they give quite a bit of information, or you can find information. And then you're basically just looking for a missing whole.
Detectives took his DNA from the crime scene and built a family tree from genetic matches found online. But on December 7th of 2021, an appeals court canceled his conviction due to juror bias.
No other evidence that was tested, and they tested everything in the van that links to Mr. Talbott.
This decision has undoubtedly devastated the families for the victims.
You think they were still okay to have been on that jury?
What I think is that is an open question that the state Supreme Court, at least at first blush, has not yet determined. The court will have to decide, does a juror have to unequivocally say that I can be fair and impartial for a trial to be fair?
December 22nd, 2022, it was rejected.
For my family and I, it is our first day without the weight, the burden.
Undoubtedly, the victims' families are devastated by the decision.
The Washington State Supreme Court reinstated the guilty verdict. This was because the defense had a chance to remove a juror, but chose not to use it. Talbott is still in custody, waiting further legal steps. It also set a crucial legal precedent. Now, genetic genealogy is a powerful tool for the police. This means that many criminals who might have escaped justice before will now face consequences. So think about what the f you about to do before you do it. I love y'all till next time. Peace.